DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show.
I want to grow my own shit.
Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma
DC Pharma Show.
Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Shay! Used to get my piece from AZ. Mary Jane is the case that they gave me. Trips from the West Coast stop real fast. DC Pharma show the masses how to grow grass. No till the method, be attentive, slow learner. The raw sheets turn that gas to a slow burner. Big worm got the strains in variety. Jeff Sessions trying to fuck up the society. Cannabis community, rise up, eyes up. Fight for your right to light or eyes shut. Loud from the motherland. I'm getting high in stadium. Super gas, no clone, it grown with vibranium. Tri-coke chasers, council of the grower. Self-sufficiency, that's how we need our smokers. Alien dream turn Girl Scouts into soldiers. Smoking doja. Contact if you come closer. Every Monday, 10 to 11 p.m. Focus on that grow, watch the show with your BM. Comedy but interviews, real lit. The DC Pharma Show, educate real shit. The DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show.
I want to grow my own shit.
Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma
DC Pharma Show.
Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Shay! Used to get my piece from AZ. Mary Jane is the case that they gave me. Trips from the West Coast stop real fast. DC Pharma show the masses how to grow grass. No till the method, be attentive, slow learner. The raw sheets turn that gas to a slow burner. Big worm got the strains in variety. Jeff Sessions trying to fuck up the society. Cannabis community, rise up, eyes up. Fight for your right to light or eyes shut. Loud from the motherland. I'm getting high in stadium. Super gas, no clone, it grown with vibranium. Tri-coke chasers, council of the grower. Self-sufficiency, that's how we need our smokers. Alien dream turn Girl Scouts into soldiers. Smoking doja. Contact if you come closer. Every Monday, 10 to 11 p.m. Focus on that grow, watch the show with your BM. Comedy but interviews, real lit. The DC Pharma Show, educate real shit. The DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma Show. Is that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma, that DC Pharma like roll it, like smoke it, breathe. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? Welcome to the DC Pharma Show. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties. We're still trying to get things together. For those that hang in there, thank you very much in chat. Shout out to the chat. Wasn't ignoring y'all. Was just trying to get things together. And also shout out to my guest tonight for waiting patiently. We're gonna be talking all about glass, as the title says today. At JW Glass. Hook set this up on IG, so you guys make sure y'all go check them out. And with that being said, before we bring our guests on and everything, let's talk about you.
We're going to talk a little bit about growing.
Hold up, I ain't even introduced everybody. See, I'm rushing. My co-host, Big Worm, y'all. And also, we got in the cut Stoner 202.
What's good?
But go ahead, Big Worm, what you was saying?
So we're going to talk a little bit about a little growing. You know, we got to talk about growing before we talk about glass.
Right.
Because we got to grow before we get the weed in the glass. True. So, you know, we're going to start with just folder B, man. We're going to go and skip folder A. Yeah, we'll go with folder B. So that's going to go ahead and show out basically the finishing out the build of the bed there. So what happened is we went ahead and built the scrog net. Mm-hmm. So had to measure everything out. You can see I put the screws in there. Worked pretty well. Everything went fine. You can just move through them. So the crossbar, so it's got that crossbar in the middle. So I got two independent nets, and that also helped.
And this is the 3x7, right?
3x7.
Yeah,
it helped pull it together too. It really helped stabilize it. You know, I kind of pushed them under there, so I got some starting to come up almost from the wall.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned that as far as pulling it together. Now, when you put all that soil in there, did it feel like the bed wanted to give way? Was it?
I don't think
it's sturdy.
Yeah, it's definitely sturdy. But what they said in the instructions is over time, the center can want to separate. So it talked about putting some screws in there, but I think having that scrog net on top will pull it back together every time.
Oh,
hold it tight. So it's kind of stabilizing.
So the pole for the scrog net also works as a brace as well. In other words. Right.
And also all those strings, you know, because I weave mine.
Right.
You know, I'm not putting a pre-made net, so I'm actually going across and weaving it through. So it tightens. I'm pulling it, tightening it as I go. Okay. Like lacing up boots, really. You know
Yeah.
So
you can't outgrow your space.
I'm sure I could fuck it up, bro. I tend to overgrow, but yeah. So the idea, so the idea is to move 1 gallon containers in there. So we'll see.
It's super easy, and I find a lot of gardeners could probably tell you this. It's super easy to over veg.
You know, we talk about that, but Lucky DC, man, if y'all follow him on Instagram. He is a machine at his plant looks the same every time. Veggies every time. Go every time to a 4x4 scrog that looks identical every time.
He is dialed in.
So that's like a perfect example. So I'm hoping to get there with this new bed.
His tent. I mean, I'm glad that you shouted him out because his tent game has been looking.
All right, you want to go to folder? It's the next folder for me. So this is something was really interesting to kind of happen. I was telling a farmer about it today. The CO2 in the room jumped. And the reason that's happening is because there's such a large amount of soil, living soil in there. That soil's C. Yeah, C. So the CO2 was up to 1520, which is a pretty high number. If I was paying for CO2, I definitely wouldn't be paying to get it that high. So the temperature in the bed was about 83. The temperature in the room at that time, I think it was 84. I got a picture up there. You can see the cover crop, so 87. So the bed was actually a little bit cooler. The soil temperature was a little bit cooler than the ambient temperature of the room. So this right here, you can see the cover crop. I planted a large amount of cover crop, and it's all coming in. It's looking nice and pretty. So the soil's definitely coming alive, coming along. Pretty nice. We'll probably talk about that next time if you want. But we were going to talk about harvesting and whatnot.
Yeah, see, we because that was a good topic. I wanted to talk about that today. But like I said, we're going to run short on time. So we're going to save that for next week for sure.
Yeah, we can just show these pictures real quick. We can flip through them for a little weed porn and move on.
Definitely, we could do that. And next week,
So,
y'all make sure y'all tune in next week because we're gonna have a
that's the green
nice show.
So that's the Velvet Sunrise right there. That's the Velvet
Frost
Sunrise. Still got probably 2 more weeks.
That's Mountain Organic strain, right?
That's green crack right there. So that's the green crack trichomes. You can see a little amber starting to come in there. The amber is just starting to come in there.
That's fucking.
Now I know the green crack is kind of well, some people say it's tricky to grow, whatever that means. How was it to you? How
There it is, hanging right there. This plant, that particular mother came to me kind of sick to start with. Mm-hmm. I've never seen the one recover. Her clones look good right now. They're healthy and happy. So I'm really interested to see what happens. I think it's definitely probably a true green crack genetics because I think it was done in 45 days like they say it's supposed to be done. I went to 49. So I think that, I'm excited about that.
Now, I don't know if you know, do you know the background of the green crack genetics?
You know
is it
something
supposed to be? Nah, I don't know. Is it supposed to be like
it's something-
CBD
it's
dominant or
no, it's definitely,
THC dominant?
It's definitely a sativa. It's out of Canada. It's definitely supposed to be like a really popular strain out of BC, Canada.
Right. And I know I seen Brown Guy and the team HSO trying to work the 1-to-1 CBD into the green crack. So
yeah, probably for sativa, but it's definitely it was a low yielder they said, but a fast finisher. So it's got kind of small. I mean, this right here was it got squished in the bag, so please don't judge.
Looks pretty.
But this right here, this was a top bud, so that shows you the size of the top coals. They're not super big. Nice strawberry. I guess you would call it. I call it a strawberry.
I like the color on it though.
It's like a lime bright green color.
Definitely nice color on it.
So,
I'm not gonna lie to you. My green crack did not look great at all. So I definitely I gave up on that strain a long time ago, but
I'm excited this pheno.
Because it's funny that you said that when you got yours, it was the mother when you got it. It seemed like it was sick.
It was a small plant. It was gifted to me by a guy who was going through some stuff. Had to get rid of all his plants. We sex tested it. It turned out to be a female, but yeah, it just never. It stayed in a container a little too long. It always seemed to have deficiencies. I think it just won't ever happen.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the ones that popped, the ones that I had those problems with it. Like even when I tried to grow it out. They were like the run of the pack, man. So I don't know. Maybe it's a strain. Like you said, it was still being pheno hunted or whatever the case may be. But the color on that one looks great. That's for sure. Looks a whole lot better than the one I tried to grow.
Yeah, partly cloudy. It's definitely from the soil being produced. So you're thinking there's a large amount of cubic foot of soil in an 8x8 room that I'm not venting anything out of. I'm only pulling fresh air into. So
yeah, I mean, let's get back to that because that's a good point. I mean. To all of us that run, because I say us, that's the next operation that I'm about to run is a sealed room. Right. So for a lot of people that run sealed rooms, they run CO2, of course, right? So coming to find out that if you run a no-till living soil raised bed, or if you have a lot of pots with a lot of soil in your room, that the organic matter in your soil helps to elevate the CO2 in the room. So
we're going to see it. Now, I'm very interested to see over time whether that kind of dials in or keeps producing. You know what I mean? If I see the CO2 drop off, that might mean that life's kind of dropping off, Yeah.
I would think the only reason for it to drop off is the actual plant consuming more of the CO2. You know what I mean?
Right.
Getting bigger, getting hungrier.
Right.
So that's something that you also might want to keep an eye on, but also wanting to vent out that CO2 at night. How would you go about that?
Well, see, the reason they turn it off at night is
right.
because they're paying for it, and the plant doesn't use it at night, so they're not going to pump it at night. So it's not going to hurt the plant to be chilling in it. Elevated CO2 is
so it's more of saving money than it is extracting the extra CO2 out of the room.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So they don't add CO2 at night because it's not using anything. So the plant chilling in an elevated CO2 is plant chilling in elevated CO2.
Man, but
no good, no bad.
Yeah. But with that being said, like I said, we get low on time, man. So let's introduce our guest, man, because I seen his work on the table. If we can we get a shoot on that on the table? And I'd like to welcome our next guest today, which is supposed to be all about glass today. So let's welcome. Thanks, Sam, and thank you for coming on the show, y'all. And any of y'all got any questions on the show on the chat, man? Just send it through, man. The dude artwork is very, very nice.
Extra dope.
What's going on, guys?
All right. Hey, make sure you bring the mic up too.
Yeah. And yeah, give me a follow on Instagram at Schwango.
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 I got to follow that because I didn't even know. Yeah.
Wango, yeah. Wise Glass.
Awesome.
Wise glass,
Okay.
indeed.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. So, how'd you get going with the glass, man? How long you been doing this, and what you can let us know your story, man.
So obviously, like being a pothead as a kid and loving glass, just really falling in love with the art of glass. And my parents taking my pipes and just kind of that whole scenario leads to I'm going to spend a lot of money on glass, and I had a bunch of friends. I say a bunch, maybe like 8 or 10 friends that blew glass, and was lucky enough to spend some time around them. And
That's pretty cool. So that was as a teenager or whatever you started practicing.
I've been blowing glass for about 6.5 years, something like that. But watching them, for probably over the course of 8 or 10 years, just going and spending hours at the studios watching them.
So you could have had free pipes made, like from all your friends. You could have kept getting pipes.
Not free pipes. I definitely
Right.
I spent a lot of money,
I can imagine the material costs.
Well, yeah, and your true friends pay full price, really. You know what I'm saying? Like you should.
Now,
obviously, you're gonna hook them up, but I'm saying they should want to pay full price. They shouldn't expect it.
Is this all right? Like me personally, like I grew up in the car business, right? So I'm a painter by trade. So it's something I had to go to school for, take a trade up, whatever the case may be. Now, is this also looked in the same way? Do you have to like go to school or take a trade for this?
You definitely can, and there's different avenues for that. Scientific glass blowing. You can go to school in a couple of different places for that. Any college has a scientific program where they do chemistry and all kinds of stuff. And so there's either an in-house or resident glass blower that fixes all the labware and does all that stuff, or they have like a company or somewhere around there that does that. So you can get into it that way. Having friends that blow glass already is a really good way to get into it. There are some other avenues that's not borosilicate lamp working, because glass blowing is it's a wide spectrum of stuff. There's lamp working, there's hot shop, there's cold working, there's slumping, there's kiln fusing.
I know at the festival, they had the people there with torches, and it looks like they were turning and working that glass. That's what they had. I don't know if you were, at that National Cannabis Fest, but they had like a whole glass blowing tent going on.
Yeah, that's the same stuff I do. So that's like what's considered lamp working, when you have a torch and you're working from cold to a finished product. When most people think of glass blowing, they think of like the old world style where you have a long blowpipe. You're gathering a big, mount of solid or molten glass. Yep, spinning it, blowing it out into a vessel. So it's definitely similar, but it's very, very different.
Oh, so those are two different.
Yeah, and the actual chemical properties of the glass are completely different.
Wow.
This glass that like this ball jar is made out of is soda lime glass, so the flux that makes the glass move at a molten temperature, there needs to be something in with the silica, which is called flux. And so I don't know the exact scientific properties, but soda ash and lime are used to help it melt, and it melts at a much lower temperature than the glass that I use, and it stays molten for a much longer period of time, so you're able to like gather a big mound and blow it out. And
So that's very interesting. So like I guess it's different materials for different things. So does that also goes into the cost of like the finished product? Like why certain things may cost like a whole lot more than others?
No, I mean the material cost in glass is not a small part of it. Some of the nicer color companies, I mean, the glass is expensive, but it's a relatively small amount. You're basically, when you pay for a piece, you're paying for the amount of time that the artist took to learn how to create that.
You're paying for that artwork. Yeah.
And people always ask me, how long did it take you to make this? How long did it take you to make that? Or what goes into that? How much material costs?
10 years. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the time you spend making something and failing at it, and then finally coming up with a product that you're able to and feel good about selling.
Nah, I completely understand that. I completely understand. Like, even like sometimes when the reason I bring up price, like sometimes I look at the price and it costs thousands for some of these pieces, right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And I want to say it's crazy, right? But in my heart, like, I respect art as well. So this is someone's time, like you said, 100%. The trial and error.
And art is totally different. It's their vision.
Exactly. So that's how I got to look at it. Can you really put a price on art? And it's what you're willing to pay for that piece. You know what I mean? So I'm sometimes I get shocked at it, but I respect it as well. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I can't afford it now, but when I can and will, I'll pay for that piece that I like. You know what I mean? So
totally, 100%. And I halfway wonder if people are shooting themselves in the foot by charging so much. But if they got it and they can do it,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, more power to them. And there's definitely artists that I wish I owned some of their work that I definitely can't afford. It's just if you. I think I'm not an artist that's going to make $10,000 off a piece. I'm going to make a couple $100 and be happy for making that of my time. And the production work, the spoons, and I've started doing these farmers markets and making like little small flower vases and pendants, rings, stuff that oil cruets, stuff like that. And
it's cool.
So the more production stuff definitely pays the bills more than the artistic stuff, and I try to do that stuff more in my spare time.
Right.
Awesome.
Now, just out of nowhere, have you ever been burnt?
Oh yeah.
And that does like this is because I know it's glass, man. It sits there, right? It's just man.
So I feel like every burn that I've had from the actual torch has been so bad that it's almost like it goes away faster. Like, it burns you to where it's numb. You can't really feel it. You might obviously feel it, but then you work for couple hours more and you don't feel it the next day. And then the worst burns that I've had is where I've grabbed something out of the oven, like a handle that was too far in, and I grabbed up too far, and it was like 1,000 degrees, so not quite as hot as molten glass, but grabbed it there and then really burned myself.
So I'm learning to weld right now, and one of the lessons was you're gonna have students bringing you basically welds to inspect. Never reach out and grab anything they bring you. Always assume it's definitely hot.
Cold glass looks the same as hot
right.
glass.
So same with the metal there. So that just made me think about that. I need to remember to never touch anything.
Yeah, I mean,
cold glass looks the same as hot glass.
Right.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Now is the industry like now that cannabis is practically legal almost everywhere, especially in DC, but has it gotten more difficult? Is it more competition? Is it more?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that and import glass. It's all, and that's kind of for the production scale. Your hand pipes in the $10 to $50 range, all that kind of stuff. There's so many people making that kind of item, and then same thing with bubblers, rigs.
So is that a machine doing that?
No.
Or just a person doing it really cheaply?
Yeah. So you have a torch on your bench, and you have your tubing and your rod, and you do what kind of pattern work on it, or not. For like the most simple, it's just clear, maybe a little bit of fume,
right,
and a colored dot, and
that little teeny bowl sitting in every smoke shop's window or whatever for $10. That little thing.
And I mean, half of those are imported from India or China. They cost cents to the place. Usually that stuff is by the pound. You buy like 20 pounds of this glass and sometimes it comes to a company in the States without a hole in the bowl, and they got to drill them out.
Oh man!
And so there's just, and a lot of places don't really know the difference between a pipe made in the United States and a pipe made somewhere else, and
is it because they're that good, or
no? I mean, they are. Some import glass is getting so much nicer. I mean, if you look on DHgate or any of those websites, Alibaba, you can buy any kind of pipe that's made, and even pipes that are made that cost thousands of dollars. Motherships. They have knockoff motherships you can buy for $50 on DHgate. It's crazy, And
counterfeit glass is definitely a thing I encountered. I thought this place was selling roars as legitimate roars, and they weren't, because they're supposed to be signed, I guess, and have every roar supposed to have an artist signature on it. So a lot of that,
Or like the maker's
market, yeah, right on there or whatever. So it's kind of counterfeit glass.
And I mean, I
crazy
definitely agree
money.
with you. Like me as a person, I don't know nothing about glass.
Right? Yeah, no, you're not alone, man.
And then when I started shopping for it, like you said, you got you look on the internet, you can pay $5 for a price that you see someone selling for $300. I didn't know at first why, but like my man said over here, man, it's like some of these products may have lead in them or whatever the case may be. You don't know where you're getting. When you're getting shit from India or China, these damn places, they have no regulations, man. None
at all.
So they can send you whatever fucking poison you willing to buy. It's cheap to us, true. And sometimes it might help you get by, but when it's something that you're putting into your body, you really have to consider what you dealing with.
Right.
Man.
You also just made a good point. Like you were saying, they're shipping them without holes in them, so they're not selling them as a smoking device. So they're technically being converted. And like he was saying, some of these things, when heated, is a problem.
Right.
But they don't have a problem with that because they weren't selling it to you to smoke
Exactly.
out of. So that's how they're getting around stuff like that. You know what I mean? And definitely, don't even get me started on honey, man. Honey's corrupt. Just the same way. Like bees, honey, man, in China,
so much adultery.
Oh well, shit. I don't eat Chinese honey, so I'm good.
I'm saying, you don't know, like Walmart's honey, the cheap honey.
American companies buy imported honey and add it to.
No, I'm just saying, when I eat honey, I get it from my folks from PR and shit.
There you go, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
but I mean, here's the thing: the glass companies that make glass in America, a lot of the chemicals and stuff that they use come from China. It's like there's easy ways to see, oh yeah, point your finger, this is the bad guy, but I mean, and some of the biggest artists use Chinese raw material, and it's not necessarily an inferior product, but like you said, it's the regulations, and that's the most disturbing thing about it. There's no regulations. They will send you whatever, who knows who's making the glass,
right,
or what they're putting in it,
And nothing's patent out
unfortunately, like you're saying, it's they talk about the true cost of it. So with no regulations, China's highly polluted. So the true cost of that product coming in, while they're getting it cheaper, I'm sure, is actually much higher than getting it here, made, hopefully more sustainable way or more environment friendly way, or at least used to. I don't know. EPA is not too effective right now. Let's see if anybody's got any questions, man. Do you want to show off the glass? Can we go over there? You want to talk about a piece or? Sure.
Yeah, please do, because that, man, I think everybody needs to see that, man. Yeah, for sure.
Let's you over there.
So I got a couple collab pieces here. This one's with my buddy J Nuts, called Flower Bubbler. We'll show one of his facets on there. It's pretty sweet. Removable downstem.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I got another collab here. This one's with my buddy Lunar Glass. He does all this sweet fume stuff. This one has a reinforced circ-perk, which is something that I started doing a couple years ago. It just really kind of reinforces the downstem for.
How you get all those colors in there, man?
It's actually really cool too. This piece, depending on the light and if it's got a dark background or not, will change color. So like you hold it up and then you get it and it totally changes. So if you're smoking out of it.
Hold it still so the camera can zoom in on it.
That's what I like. I like all those colors. And this is out of one glass piece.
So
right?
beautiful. Yeah. It really looks like scales almost. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, how long would a piece like that take you to make?
Well, like I said, it's not necessarily about the length that it takes you to make that makes it, what it is. It's about the time. So this is a collaboration. My buddy makes this fume stuff, and then he gives me this prep, and then I'll take his prep. So I don't really know how long he spent on this stuff,
Right.
So he gave me this marble, this marble, this marble, this marble, this marble, and then a piece of this tubing that he's made. And then I take that and I separate it into these sections, and then make it. And I probably have at least 10 hours in it myself.
That is nice. That is definitely nice for sure.
And Andy's been doing glass for way longer than I have. This piece, I think, is 800 retail.
Artwork.
And then I got a bunch of.
At first, I was like, I was surprised. But when you start going like to like the glass galleries and stuff like that, man, it's real live, man. It's a whole industry within itself, man. You know what I mean? And it's yeah.
We can go back over if you want.
This is something I've been working on. This thing's pretty cool right here. I don't know if you can focus in on that. Maybe I should set it down. So this is this milli encasement tubing I've been making. So I make all this milli and basically take a piece of a clear and coat it in a silver striking color, and then pull that down and then bundle it together and re-pull it into this flower-like pattern. And then I take a black blank and I will stick and snap this milli all over this, and then coat the whole thing in clear. So this piece has kind of got a lot of work and time into it.
Now, see, like when you say coat the whole thing in clear, right? Like now, look, I remember I said I'm a painter. It's not the same clear as I would use to paint a vehicle, right?
Nope. So I'm gonna take that black blank that I have, put basically spot heat where I want the milli, push the milli in it, stick it, wobble it, snap it off, do that all over it, and then heat that whole thing up into a uniform tube that is big enough and small enough to fit inside of a clear tube.
Okay.
And so then I stick that inside the clear tube, put a little bridge from the one end, and then laminate the whole thing without trapping any air.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. You can also take a rod of clear, which is literally just a rod. It looks like a pencil, but it's all clear glass, 5 feet long, and then just stripe with that over it too. And that's another way to do that.
You really have to see it to understand it.
To me, it's like forging with glass.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till they have a TV show now, Forged in Fire, when they making knives and swords and shit. And I can't wait till they come out with the TV show with Forging with Glass, man. Right. Like, I mean, it's because it's a whole industry within itself, like I said before, man. And the people doing it, man, this shit is fucking art, man. Like you said, the first time I actually seen it live was at the National Cannabis Fest. And I sat there looking at those guys really working at it, man. How they turn a piece of glass into something, man. It's just, I like that period, man. You know what I'm saying? Being able to turn nothing into something.
I wonder if they were selling like fresh pieces they made there. Cause I seen them making them. I didn't stay and watch though.
Yeah, I didn't see actually if they sold the pieces they were making though. But I know they were selling pieces like hell.
For a skull?
You're not lying. I asked them, man. Well, what's up with that, man? I asked them, man. And it was a basic skull. It was kind of like a what are those Mexican sugar skulls, right? The Mexican sugar skulls, like.
Right, a pendant.
Yeah, it was kind of like a big pendant. Because it wasn't a smoking device, I don't think. Man, I asked the dude the price, man. I swear I think he said over $3,500, man. So I couldn't. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so AKM has definitely kind of carved this path, and he's there's a color company that he does these skulls for. So he's really kind of locked himself in there in the like center of the industry right now, and
So it's more of the name.
Why, yeah, it's like buying
right.
the new Jordans. You know what I mean? It's like he's like that skull that's his thing.
So how do you go from being like a dude making glass in your garage to some known glass maker?
You really have to have a thing. It's like every glass artist is known for their thing. AKM, it's his skulls. ETR, it's his wood grain and his arrowheads and his antlers.
So like a personal signature.
Yeah, exactly. Your own thing that you do that nobody else does. And there's a bunch of people that knock off, and that's the game.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
you either
all
have to find your own thing that no one else is doing and do it the best, or just do something the best. And there's a bunch of people biting each other. And
you always gonna have that. I don't care
drama,
what in business and industry you in. You just always gonna have that, man.
So what's your niche, your signature on your pieces?
I mean, I've been doing a lot of the wigwag. I think a lot of people know me for the space stuff that I was doing for a while. I don't really have a thing, quote unquote. I'm I'm trying to find that.
Right. Understand.
And I'm still pretty young in my glass career, and I got a kid too, so I don't have as much time as I would like for glass blowing, but I'm still
Understand.
rocking with it and trying to figure it out. You know, always learning the glass. That's the game for me.
Right. So I mean, you're never gonna forget it now. So
What's your Instagram name?
It's Schwango, SHWANGO.
Yeah, please tell the people again where they can find you. I'm pretty sure you could do custom work for people and all
I
that.
can do
So
customs. Come check us out.
I want a big.
Well, I'm
long
definitely
so
gonna
bad.
check you
Events
out.
where you want me to come demo and stuff, I'm happy to do that.
That's awesome.
that's definitely great to know. I will be hitting up on both sides because I will have an events coming up soon. That's one thing because when my harvest comes through, I'm having a hell of an event. And two, I do want a personal glass made for myself and the show, but I got to finish my greenhouse. It's just something that's on my back. I got to finish that. So once I finish that, I'm really free to do what I need to do. But that's something that I want to do. Like I told your partner when we met, I do want to get a custom glass made for my show. That's for sure.
Hell yeah. So happy to do it.
So, but I mean, with that being said, like I said, let the people. We about to close this show out for the night. Let the people know where they can reach you at, and I appreciate you hanging with us with us tonight. God damn, I'm stumbling all over the place.
Platinum Girl Scout cookies.
I see. Keep
Yeah.
going out
So
on
yeah,
it too.
at Schwango on Instagram, and Samuel Pedersen on Facebook. Yeah, hit me up. I go live on Instagram, and
Awesome.
like you said, customs available for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of enticing to watch. Jinx Proof goes live. He does some glass. I'll watch it, just watching the fire and watching it spin.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of boring. Some of it's a little bit boring. It's just monotonous. They say glass blowing. A lot of people think there's going to be more like extravagant, but there is kind of a dance to it, and it is fascinating to me. So
It's awesome, man. Thanks a lot.
Is it easy to spot a person that don't know what they're doing?
you know, it's weird. Everybody
burn
has
marks
their
and
own
shit.
style, and that's what's so incredible about glass blowing. Is like even you know, you watch somebody do something, you might do it 5 or 6 times, but then you're gonna figure out some way that works better for you to do it. You know what I mean?
Once you get the
And-
concept of it.
exactly, and you'll constantly watching people work is a learning experience because you know there's stuff that you wouldn't think of. Oh, okay, I'll do that differently.
And that's what I think is important about anything. Like, as long as you understand the concept of what it is that you're trying to do, that's what made no-till so simple for me. Like, at first I was battling and trying to figure out going, but once I understood the actual concept of what no-till was, or the concept of my style of gardening, and it's like it all made sense.
Yeah.
So I know like how to do it in a way that's comfortable for me. Just how you said, it's
Exactly.
There's no
Exactly how it
there's
is.
no one right way of doing it. But once you know the concept of what it is that you're trying to do, you find what fits you. Indeed.
Hey.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, this is a collab with Salt and Glass. He does these cool mazes.
Now, is that what you would call a wiggle?
Yeah, wigwag.
Oh, wigwag.
This is actually I do these wigwags and the space here.
And this is man,
color.
that shit looks like a maze in there, man.
That color
and
crazy, boy.
That's my buddy Salt and Glass. He does these mazes. That's a collab with him.
Now, would you also be able to use these as caps?
For like a spoon or something.
No, cap is when you dabbing.
yeah.
What
Yep.
they call them, stoner?
Carb
Carb caps? Okay,
Carb
yeah,
cap,
carb
yeah.
caps.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Like I said, y'all, man, check him out on his IG. Cannabis definitely put his link in there. Appreciate you for coming through this week.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. For real.
Yeah, and another thing, tell the people about the link, man, because we
Yeah,
forgot to
so-
mention that. And is today the last week for them to
No, we
sign up?
got next week,
Okay, next week.
and then we give it away the week after.
Okay. See, I'm jumping ahead. And next week, y'all, make sure y'all tune in. We're going to be on time next week. We ain't going to have no more technical difficulties, right, Jay? We going to get it this time, right, Jay?
So the link,
Nah, that was fluke, man. That's swear to God. That's like one.
yeah. So the link
That shit was fluke.
actually stayed live. The link's been live. I'm with the link in chat. It will stay live.
And that's for the
Used to, I got
competition,
home a
y'all.
while.
That's for the Chaplain. 1949.
Yeah. And remember, you can enter every week. That's the point. Tune in, enter every week.
And after next week, we will be picking a winner.
It's gonna be Stone. I'm gonna let y'all know.
So I forgot to mention it today, but yeah, it's up there.
There it is. The link is in. It's been live. Go ahead and get your entry in for this week. Put your information in. You know, we're going to do it live on the show. And then next week we'll have the sprayer in here for people to see. You know, maybe doing a little unboxing or something. Get excited about the sprayer.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, if you're a gardener, you get excited about sprayers, and the sprayer is exciting. So.
And I'm also excited, like I said again, for next week's show. I'm also excited for us. We're going to have a special guest, and we're going to finish talking about what we was going to talk about today, about harvesting. And Stoner has some stories to roll down for us, so we're going to take care of all that next week. So make sure y'all tune in for us. And thanks for tuning in tonight.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Oh.
All right.